1 month. It's already been 1 month of the NFL season. We have lots of big shots, lots of disappointments, but all in all, good, hard-nosed, fun NFL football, especially the first the first season with fans back in the stands. It's a beautiful sight. So, bring in our crew as per usual, but first, our buddy Teddy Moran's had to work today, so he will join us at the end of the month for our NFL shows. But we have two of the best anyways around. First, we have the great Kevin Schaffer, a.k.a. Big Kev, a.k.a. Kevin Will Drink It on TikTok. What's up, Kevin?
What's going on? How you doing, Matt?
I'm so happy to see you, and this is going to be a great time. I remember just for let our audience know, how was your trip to Egypt? You mentioned that on our first one in a few words or less.
Egypt was an amazing experience. I mean, seeing the pyramids up close, getting to see Tut's tomb, just absolutely breathtaking. It was a wonderful time.
Oh man, and rest in peace, King Tut. And his legacy lives on. And of course, we have the great Alex Ranniello once again. What's up with the new hairs, keeping the stash going and being himself? What's up, Alex?
What's going on, boys? Happy to be here. Looking forward to wrapping up week 4, and let's get it going.
Let's get it going, just as Alex said. So, week 4 of the NFL, it's been, ups and downs for sure. And, there's just so much to go over, really. I mean, where do we start? Why don't we start with first? Let's talk rookie quarterbacks first. So this was a intimidating rookie class coming into it. People were very excited with the draft. People think, there's some great NFL stars here. With the exception of Trevor Lawrence, who's turned it around, even though still being winless, I think it's fair to say that, in the first 4 weeks, there's nothing that exciting or exhilarating. Let's just say we don't know who our offensive rookie of the year is yet. But, of course, only 1 quarter of the season has taken place, and there's still a lot of football left to go. But, whether it's Mac Jones, Trey Lance has barely gotten playing time, Justin Fields here and there. And, of course, we have Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, who have been starting. But I want to start with Kevin because I know he's keen to one of the rookie quarterbacks. What do you think about the rookie quarterback so far, especially your guy, Zach Wilson?
I'm going to start off by saying we were really pampered and spoiled to have quarterbacks in the last couple of years like Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. I mean, even Tua, who played well right out of the gate in that rookie year, came out and kind of played like they were NFL veterans already. And we were in for a rude awakening here because we've been used to that recently. And some of these guys all of these guys are not playing the way those guys did. They're going through those growing pains that most rookie quarterbacks do and that we haven't been accustomed to the last few years because we've been spoiled. I mean, Lawrence and Wilson lead the league in interceptions, respectively. Wilson and Lawrence. And none of them really look that great. So, Wilson, they've all shown flashes. You see why in this Jets win here this week, you see why Wilson was the number 2 overall pick, sending Corey Davis down the field and just effortlessly flicking a 50-yard bomb, Trevor Lawrence, tearing apart defenses when he's not throwing interceptions. So, all in all, they look like rookie quarterbacks. So I'm not as shocked as some other people are.
Yeah, I think you make a fair point. We were spoiled with some players who were definitely going above average. I mean, Kyler Murray looks like he's an MVP candidate already. And Mahomes off the bat does well. And, the list goes on and on. But I think maybe it was just an era with all great rookie quarterbacks and it's now just turning around, but it doesn't mean that, these guys don't have a future, of course. Alex, what do you think of the rookie quarterback situation?
Yeah, it's kind of the same, along the same lines as Kevin. We expect these guys to have their issues early on. And, it takes about 4 to 5 weeks to really divvy up and understand who the real teams and who the fake teams are going into the season. But I think that, this is kind of par for the course for what I expected from all the quarterbacks. I think that the jury's still out. on. I'm really praying and hoping that Trey Lance and Justin Fields get their due diligence with the coaching situation, and I hope that they do right by them moving forward, because they have tremendous upside with the injuries with Garoppolo and Dalton for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it seemed at first that these guys were on the fence. Obviously with the players' injuries, it's easier to make that decision. But now, it's just put up or shut up time. Especially, people like to think starting at these certain weeks that you might start seeing a veteran. If there is a prominent rookie, he's gonna get in the position to play. But like I said, there's still lots of football left. That extra week does matter, and it's clear to say that the jury's still out there. But it's just a change of seasons, literally. So
yeah, I think the biggest thing, real quick, is I don't think it's the jury's out that they can't play, because obviously they have to be talented enough to play at this level. But I think that the situation that they're going to be in, the jury's still out on whether or not that's going to work for them moving forward to be successful. I think, in my humble opinion, that Mac Jones will have the best first year of the quarterbacks, but I think moving forward, it'll be difficult to say who has the most upside potential to win at a successful high clip. I mean, we didn't see Lamar Jackson coming the way everybody else did in that draft as well. We all thought that Baker and Darnold and Rosen would be the cream of the crop, and look how
Josh Rosen.
Yeah, look how it transpired. So we'll see.
Well, like you said.
Talking on that, I do want to point something out when it came to this rookie class. When it looked like the Jets were going to be the first have the first overall pick this year, a lot of analysts were saying that Trevor Lawrence should go back to school, and Jets just picked up their first win, and it looks like Jacksonville is going to fire their brand new shiny college coach 4 weeks into the season. So I don't know where they got their information, but one franchise looks like a disaster, and the other one looks like it's starting to improve. So I had to throw that out there.
Actually, you perfectly are transitioning to the next point I was thinking, was the whole Urban Meyer Jacksonville Jaguar situation. So for those who don't know, after a very competitive but tough loss against the Bengals on Thursday night, Urban Meyer, I guess, was still in the area. Obviously, the Ohio ties. He's obviously led Ohio State to a national championship. He's a pretty big deal. But correct me if I'm wrong, too. I guess that he was just out on the town with his friends, and people have phones, and there was somebody who was seeing an older gentleman, and maybe she knew what was going on and tried to get him to dance. And I know there's 2 videos out there. I only saw the initial one, and some awkward lap dancing with his wife, allegedly liking it, saying, "Hey, I'm with the kids." And now you see, awkward press releases. Urban Meyer has apologized already for it. And, it's just very, very awkward. And with the rumors of him wanting the open USC job and just go back to college anyways, it is turned quite into a mess. And I want to know what you guys think. Kevin, you said that you believe that Urban is on his way out, going to get fired. We know Teddy said in our last podcast that he doesn't think he'll last the season. Alex, what do you think with Urban before we go more? Where do you think he's going?
Well, I mean, as long as, he doesn't do anything to worsen the situation, I think he'll finish out the season. I think Shaq Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, I think he has to do right by the situation itself and not really stagnate the rest of the season for the sake of Trevor Lawrence's development. I think the jury is still out on whether or not this will work. I mean, we knew going into the season they weren't going to win more than a handful of games. But as long as he can keep improving incrementally week by week throughout the season, I think he'll stay. But this hot water that's emerging is just not looking good. It kind of just goes to show you that you can kind of get away with a lot more stuff when you're out of the spotlight in college. In the pros, right. It's a totally different deal.
So having said all that, and Kevin, I'd love to hear you elaborate on this too, but do you think it is, if you were Shaq Khan, Excuse me if I mispronounced that, but if you're the owner of the Jaguars, do you just, even though it's only week 4, just put us out of the misery, put another competent coach? I don't know the coaching staff that well in Jacksonville who can help the development for Trevor Lawrence. If anyone wants to, add on to that, do you think it's just one of those things that's like a bad date? Listen, you don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Let's just move on and see other people. Is that what's going to happen?
I really think it is. I mean, I'm going to sound a little biased here, but if I'm Shah Khan, I hired Rob Saleh in the offseason and not Urban Meyer anyway. But I think they're going to end up with the split. I mean, something that really I think it was after their loss to the Broncos, Urban Meyer and Vic Fangio are old friends, and he went up to Coach Fangio and said, "Wow, it's like we play Alabama every week." And that kind of shows that he's in over his head here. And everyone says he's this great quarterback whisperer who's going to help Lawrence and everything like that. Name one Ohio State quarterback that he coached that panned out in the NFL.
Pretty much.
You can't, because it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Ohio State quarterbacks never played well in the NFL because he didn't run an NFL scheme. He runs a college scheme, and it's not working in the NFL. Clearly, it's not working. He didn't know how to use his shiny second-year running back. He doesn't understand, NFL defenses. He's like you said, he's playing Alabama every week. He's playing a room full of professionals, and he's used to playing amateur college kids where there's a lot more mistakes. And I don't think he'll last any longer. And I think it's worse to keep him around for Lawrence than it is to just cut it off now. And heck, even instead of promoting someone to interim from inside the organization, find a new head coach from outside and reevaluate at the end of the season.
Yeah, the only issue is that's easier said than done, because if you're just going to uproot the entire thing, I think I agree with you. I think you need to know as soon as possible if it's going to work with Trevor Lawrence's development. I just don't think you can give it any less than a year, barring he does another stupid act like he did.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that, but I don't think he even wants to be there anymore. I think it's more of a mutual split at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I understand what you're saying in terms of they're not really picking up because like in the college game you can run all these these spread offenses and zone reads and whatnot and play action because you're playing lesser athletes across your conference. Now it's like everybody has equal level, equal value athletes across the board. That's why it is like playing Bama. They're just gonna have to get creative throughout the season offensively if they want to compete.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're going to play Tennessee this week after Tennessee did not want to lose to the Jets. So they definitely are going to come out swinging, and they'll see if they can make Urban Meyer's life even worse with a week 5 loss. So let's get also in the big picture, talking about the NFL in general. So I wanted to talk about the biggest shock, and this is a biggest positive shock. And then after this, the next point will be the biggest disappointment. But 4 weeks in, we have some teams who are still undefeated that you may not have expected them to be 3-0. You may have had some teams playing much better than expected. For me, I have to say, Alex, even though they lost last week, the Raiders really played well, especially Derek Carr, winning that Offensive Player of the Month. And, tough loss last week with thunderstorms and such. I do think they are, at least as long as they're playing the way they've been playing, they'll be an intimidating force in the AFC West. That's my opinion for biggest shock. Alex, why don't we give it to you? Do you feel your team is in that category, or is it someone else?
I'm not 100% sold yet, and I'm going to hedge my bets here a little bit because I said at the beginning of the podcast a few weeks back, they start out hot every year. They go 6-3 or 7-2. They beat heavy hitters when they're down early in the season. They're trying to find themselves and get the chemistry right. So I'm not yet sold. But the one encouraging factor that's distinguishing themselves from years past is that they finally have a pass rush. They've had a pass rush for the first time since 2016 when Carr went on a magical MVP candidate run. And it just goes to show you how competent and solid he can be as a starting quarterback and a franchise quarterback when you surround him with a competent defense. So, the long short answer, the jury's still out for me. Like I said, in that pecking order of the division, because it's a competitive division, I had them third, right around 7-9 or 8-9, whatever. 17 games. So we'll see. But I've been pleasantly surprised. There's a lot of things I like that I did not expect from the defense, and I never thought we would be winning games without a running game for that matter.
Ooh, okay. Solid thoughts with that. And is there any other team that's really shocked you where the betterment? Should I say positively shocked you?
Well, I don't know if I'm shocked, but I mean, Kevin and I both called it. I mean, Cardinals, man, they're the real deal.
4-0.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected, how good and talented they really would be, and how big of a jump Kyler would take this year. But he's looking like an MVP candidate. I think that beating the Rams was a good measurement of where they are in the NFC right now. But it's a long season. We got a ways to go. They've definitely been a pleasant surprise, but gotta say I kind of called it.
Want to elaborate more on that, Kevin, with the Cardinals specifically?
Oh, well, specifically with the Cardinals, as much as that offense is playing great, Kyler Murray, MVP candidate, it's the defense. It is 100% the defense.
JJ Watt.
I mean, that defense held, in my opinion, probably the most explosive offense in the NFL right now. Something I would liken to the greatest show on turf reincarnate in the Rams there, doing it again. I mean, just next Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, and they held them to what was, I think, 16 points.
Yep.
Yeah.
13 points. It's the defense. I mean, as much as that offense is wonderful down there in Arizona, that defense is going under the radar right now, but they're the reason that they're 4-0. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was just going to pitch in by saying Buda Baker picked up right where he left off last year.
Oh, yeah. I DPOY candidate at the moment. I mean, just wonderful.
Dude, yeah. And Kevin, who else were pleasant surprises for you?
You know what? And Teddy and I both have to apologize to Alex here. I mean, the Raiders. The Raiders are probably my biggest shock here. But not only the Raiders, it's Derek Carr. And I think the real explanation for Derek Carr playing the way he is he was kind of disgruntled in the offseason. I mean, John Gruden was talking about just about every quarterback under the sun. There were rumors of Watson and things like that, and Derek Carr being traded. And Derek Carr, the man with the black mascara, came out and decided he was going to prove himself this year. So he's playing phenomenal. Raiders are playing well. My only issue, and it was exposed last week against San Diego, if you get a good pass rush on Derek Carr, he panics and he doesn't play the way he's been playing. So we got to see if that offensive line, because they do have a tough slate of defensive lines and front sevens coming up in their next couple of games. So got to watch that. And you think about it, they play Denver with Von Miller. I'm not sure if Bradley Chubb will be back by then, but phenomenal defensive line there. They have to play San Diego again.
Yeah. You got the Chiefs.
Even Chris Jones. I mean, the Chiefs defense isn't playing that well, but Chris Jones is no slouch there. And if those teams can get pressure on Derek Carr, it's going to be a tough road inside the division for them. But I like what I see from them. And then my second biggest shock, not so much of a shock. I kind of had them rated higher than both Alex and Teddy, but the Carolina Panthers, man. Yeah. I mean, Sam Darnold as a Jets fan. I'm happy to see Sam succeed, but at the same time, where was that last year, 2 years ago? The Carolina Panthers are going to be a tough team to beat, especially when Christian McCaffrey comes back. So I think the league should be put on notice there, especially in an NFC South division where you have teams. I mean, even Tampa almost lost to New England. You have teams that aren't playing up to snuff. The Saints aren't playing as well as, I thought they would. And Tampa's kind of slowing down a little bit here. So I think the Panthers are definitely a team to watch.
Absolutely.
That secondary for Tampa has definitely been exposed. They're really thin right now.
They had to go get Richard Sherman, and if anything, and
Let's
didn't make exactly big moves.
I was definitely pleasantly surprised, just to piggyback on what Kev said on the Panthers. I mean, we look at the history with Matt Rule. The second year he jumps to, from an abysmal first year to about a 500 team. I kind of had them around, hovering around 500, and I kind of expect them to kind of even out around there. But you have to admit that there's a lot of great things you're seeing both on the offense and defensive side. The only reason I have a moment to pause is because who they beat the first 4 weeks.
Do you feel that Sam Darnold's success was truly an example of just incompetent coaching in the Adam Gase era, and then a little bit of Todd Bowles? Then he goes to Matt Rule, and look what he's doing. Do you think he was just cursed for being a Jet? No offense, Kevin.
I don't think it's Matt Rule, to be completely honest. I love Matt Rule as a head coach. It's Joe Brady.
Yeah.
Joe Brady is something else. He is, him and another. There's another guy not a lot of people talk about, Kevin Stefanski with Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are, as everyone wants to say, Kingsbury, McVay. My opinion, those two are the brightest offensive minds in the NFL right now. I mean, the way they're running their offenses and really making sure they play to their quarterback strengths and their team strength is out of this world. And I think, I love Sam Darnold. I thought he was going to be a great quarterback. He's shown those flashes, and Adam Gase kills anything he touches. So
what is Gase doing?
I'm pretty sure he's coaching his hometown high school team. So
he can stay there.
Yeah, he can definitely stay there. Well, maybe the Jaguars will hire him when they fire Urban Meyer.
Oh my God.
But ruin T-Law's career like they did Darnold's. But no, I truly think Darnold got out of a bad situation, and it shows. There's like Drew Brees. Drew Brees didn't play very well, in San Francisco. Got out of there, got a change of scenery with a different coach and a great coach in Sean Payton, and he's a Hall of Famer and arguably one of the greatest to ever do it. So I think Sam Darnold might have a not exactly the same career trajectory, but something similar where he has a real resurgence here.
Excellent moves, excellent points. And then the only last thing I would say in terms of shocking teams, well, excuse me, Broncos are 3-1, but they had quite an easy first 3 games going against the Jets, Giants, and then the Panthers, and then they play a more competitive team and they lost. Then the other, eye-opening one is you have the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow. That could be, another team to watch out for. And after him recovering from his injuries, played pretty well himself. Do you think there's any correlation to these two teams having hot starts?
Well, I think we'll get into that a little bit later with my feelings on the Broncos. But when it comes to the Bengals, I don't think the play's sustainable. I think they're a lot like the Broncos, have not played the best teams. And I think we're going to see once they play better defensive line, specifically Cincinnati, because they didn't touch that offensive line enough. Joe Burrow is going to see some problems. Joe Mixon now injured again with his injury, issues that he's had for years now. So I don't believe in the Bengals and the Broncos hype 100%.
Yeah, I think they're going to level out around 500. Both teams. That's kind of where I projected them at the beginning of the season. I think that there's a lot of great things to build on for Burrow, and I like where they're headed. Not completely sold on Zach Taylor yet. We'll see. The Broncos, I mean, that's kind of an anomaly. I mean, you guys hinted at it. Easy schedule through with the first 3 weeks, and then they got brought back down to earth with the Ravens. And now you're starting Drew Lock until there's more word on Teddy Bridgewater, and he's just a pick machine, an interception machine. So I think they have the foundation to be, a strong roster for years to come. But until they get their quarterback situation right, I don't see any change in the future. I think more of the first month of success has to do with pressure on Vic Fangio to win early than anything else.
Piggybacking off what you said about, I'm not a big Zach Taylor fan either, and just talked about a guy who in my opinion, I think it's a sure thing will be the coach in Cincinnati next year will be Joe Brady. So I think that's a match made in heaven. I mean, Joe Brady this year is proving that he can win as an offense coordinator at the NFL level. Zach Taylor, like you said, I think they'll even out at 500, and Zach Taylor will be gone after missing the playoffs again, and that's a match made in heaven for next year. But that's for a later podcast to discuss.
And we'll see. I mean, let's keep an eye on. I mean, I know the USC job is out there. Not to divert too much, but talking coaches. Let's keep an eye on Mario Cristobal up in Oregon too, because if they take the Pac-12, he's going to be getting some NFL calls.
Absolutely.
We've seen him develop some good players into this league, so you would get my vote for that as well. So, time to talk about the disappointing teams. We'll toss it to Kevin first because he started hitting on it. First 4 weeks, there have some teams that have really shit the bed, and it's time to point it out. Kevin, you were getting into some of these teams. Let it out.
My biggest disappointment, and it's weird to call it 2-2 started disappointment.
Yeah,
and actually, both of my disappointing teams here have 2-2 starts. But the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean,
yeah, I love it. Personally.
I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are last in their division right now. A division that, coming into it, I thought they would win pretty easily, and I figured they'd already be, top of that division and separated themselves by this point. So the fact that they're a game behind every other team and all the other teams realistically look better than them and all have offenses. The Chiefs' problem is their defense. Their defense is not playing well at all. And all three teams in that division have recently had offenses that are humming, functioning on all levels. And if the Chiefs can't get that defense together, this division might run through them.
I mean, clearly, it seems just miscommunications. Kelsey and Hill have all had down years. Mahomes still trying to hold his own, still doing Mahomes things. I mean, we could talk about that underhand pass he had last week, but there's some messes, especially on.
I don't even know how he does half the stuff he does. It's not even, according to physics, I don't even think it's possible. So he is something else.
Some people just got it, but not only this, especially the defense have had some bad holes getting exposed. I think, like you said, it's fair to say that a 500 team being very disappointed in the Chiefs, they have some major things to change. And maybe when they play Buffalo this week, which we circled on the calendar on Sunday night, this is going to be possibly an AFC championship preview already, but now it doesn't look like the case. So
Chiefs just signed Josh Gordon.
Yes, they did. He's scheduled he should make his first start this Sunday, but listen, against that Buffalo defense just shut out a very, very good team, very good offense, and they put up 40 points on a very good defense.
Mm-hmm.
I could see a real big Buffalo blowout here and a real wake-up call to the Chiefs.
Yep.
Womp womp moment. Alex, who are some teams that disappointed you?
I mean, it kind of depends on how we redefine, disappointment. I mean, because injuries are part of the game. We understand that. I had Washington a lot higher than a lot of people did expectation wise.
Yeah.
I know that Fitzpatrick going out week 1, even I didn't see that coming. I think I'm not completely jumping off the ship because I think throughout the year, I think Heineke's going to get better every snap he plays. So I think that they can win close games with good coaching and a run game and defense. But there's definitely concerns that they'll get to 10 wins even. I still think they'll be there at the end of the year to compete with Dallas for the division. Definitely been a little disappointed with Indianapolis. I mean, I kind of saw it coming. I didn't buy in with the injury issues, kind of like what I was just talking about. But so I still have Tennessee kind of right there taking the division. I think that Indy, it's going to be interesting to see what they kind of expose and divulge to the public for Hard Knocks. Not super thrilled that they're doing that, but it'll definitely be interesting to see the insight in, Jim Irsay's organization there. And then, the Chicago, I mean, the jury is still out. I'm not giving up on Chicago, but Matt Nagy's in some hot water, and I know they keep clamoring for his job, and they need to clarify what the pecking order is with the QBs. I don't know what he's holding on to with Andy Dalton, but if they don't switch up schematically how they're going to operate that offense for Justin Fields, I think that it could go real south real quick.
Yeah, when it comes to Chicago there, if you're going to run the same offense you ran with Dalton, why even start Fields? Let Nick Foles play. I mean, Nick Foles is a better fit in that offensive scheme.
Yep.
And you're just, right now, and I think it's kind of Nagy, playing his young quarterback in the wrong scheme so he doesn't look so good. So it looks like he made the right decision to try and sit him there. And I think that's part of it, a little bit of pride there. Team I wanted to touch on was the Saints. I know I had them a lot higher than everyone else. Everyone else did, but I haven't given up on them yet. I haven't jumped ship yet, but they're 500 team, 2-2. I saw a better start for them here. And as good as Jameis has looked, the defense has not looked the way that it should. So it's a team that's been really disappointing. And I'm not jumping ship yet on them.
They're going to have a couple tough upcoming games. They got Washington and Seattle.
Yeah.
Tampa.
One team I want to talk about who's been disappointing. Now this is weird because they did win last week, but we could talk about the New York Giants. Now, listen, I understand that they've had mixed feelings coming into this, and I know my Giants bias, but from very, very, this is really accounting for the first 3 weeks. And, things could have totally changed against New Orleans on Sunday. Certain things happened and more things could have led to, some huge messes. But from very questionable calls from Joe Judge, whether it's not challenging correctly or, some weird schemes that his personnel like Jason Garrett have made, things were looking very ugly. And I mean, I was in the building for the season opener and it was just killer. But on the contrary, you do have Daniel Jones. He's only had 2 turnovers now in 4 games, which is way better. That's what anyone would take. The first 3 weeks, Saquon didn't look good either. Well, we'll go with the first 2 weeks specifically. But, I just feel that the Giants should be, especially with how things turned out, like we go back to the Washington game, Adoree Jackson dropping that interception that would have sealed the game, and then letting Heineke just run down the field against this defense. And this defense really wants to give you a heart attack if you're on the Giants, especially the secondary. Who wants to help support my cause with the Giants being disappointing? Maybe not the most disappointing, but you thought at least with how things unfolded, they could at least have a 2-2 game and a 2-2 record. But hit me. What do you guys think? You still think you could be honest if you feel this was accurate, but elaborate.
I think I had them coming to the season at 5 wins. I think 5, and I'm pretty sure I called that charity. I will say Daniel Jones has exceeded my expectations. They may not be looking for a quarterback come April, but they will be looking for a new coach, a new general manager.
Yeah.
That team is not very pretty. And you know what? I think it comes down to, and I've been saying this a lot, the way Joe Judge runs his team.
Yeah.
These are not college kids. These are not high school kids. Making them run because you don't like what they said or did is not going to change their opinion. It is not going to change their attitude. And it's not the right way to coach other adults. And,
yeah, right.
You look around the league at coaches that have taken that kind of approach. And I can only think of, one who had any success. and he only had success for 2 years before he got booted, and that's Rex Ryan. I mean,
Mhm.
he's the only real hard-ass coach that I can see, and I won't say ever. I say like in maybe the last 20 years that's really had that approach and been successful with it. But they're grown men. At 24, 25, you don't want to get yelled at and told to run laps. You want to be spoken to like a man and explained, what's going on, what you need to fix. And I don't think his style of coaching will fit in the NFL scheme anymore.
Well, just to piggyback off that, I think not only cannot the kids nowadays not handle, a tougher style of coaching, Tuesday through Saturday, but also the fact that if you're not an accomplished coach, they're not going to really retain and listen to things. I think that a guy like Gruden, who's been in hot water, who has to prove something this year, has had far longer a leash than a coach like Joe Judge, who doesn't necessarily have the cachet of winning necessarily at his expense. So you look at guys that adopt that style. I mean, even Bill Parcells, he was an accomplished guy. He was a winning coach, and so I think a lot of it has to do with winning. Winning cures all in this league.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like you said, and Kevin, at first I was hesitant to think like maybe why not try a conservative approach, but clearly it's not working. You have at times whether it's Kenny Galladay yelling at Jason Garrett in the middle of a game, and you have some other disrespectful moments. It didn't mesh. And of course, this game could have gone so differently in New Orleans. We were lucky. And, Saquon caught Marshawn Lattimore sleeping that would lead to that big touchdown to win the game. Of course, I admit we're lucky, but who knows where dumb luck can lead you. Now, I'm expecting us to lose against the Cowboys this week, but I don't know. Just keeping your hopeless romantic hopes out there for this team.
I would like to point out. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you can never say never in a crappy division, so you got hope.
That's true. But I would like to point out that 3 players signed with the Giants and retired 1 day later. So I do. I mean that's got to tell you something about the coaching there. If people are signing there hoping to actually play and make a roster spot, and the next day decide they don't want to play the game anymore, there's something wrong with the way you're coaching.
Man, imagine if there's Hard Knocks for the Giants. That literally would be perfect. That's, they announced the Colts are having the first ever midseason Hard Knocks. Yeah. But yet, what are they going to play for the way they're playing? But who knows? We can have other human interest stories within that. And again, that's still a couple months away. But yeah, is there any other disappointing teams we missed out on? I don't think people are disappointed the Lions are 0-4. They're disappointed they lost that dunk.
I am a little disappointed in that.
Really? Elaborate.
Well, I mean, especially watching Jared Goff play, the first 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
I thought that team might be able to actually beat my projection for their wins, but I'm a little disappointed that they've just kind of fallen off. I mean, TJ Hawkinson week 1, week 2 looked like, he might be, surpassing Kittle at that point, the way he was playing, and just he's fallen off. The entire team's fallen off, and they look like the same old Lions. So they got my hopes up for a week and a half and just shattered them again.
Truly, it's a cursed franchise. What's up, Alex?
Another team we didn't really kind of touch upon, but I mean, part of it was because of COVID protocol. I mean, what the hell's going on with Tennessee? I know they lost a couple tight games, but I mean, there's got to be some serious concern with the back end of that defense. And you've seen how pedestrian that team can play when you become one-dimensional, and you rely on Tannehill to make a play. That's a very concerning football team right now.
Absolutely.
Getting so exposed like that, you're definitely right. And just 2 other points. One, this is not disappointing, but it's like seeing an old dog know that his days are numbered. He's going to get put down. But Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, that's ugly, man. And speaking of Ohio State quarterbacks who get a shot, you think it's time to say, Ben, it's time to go, sit down, put Dwayne Haskins in and see if he can save face?
Oh, God.
Or no, this is it.
You don't let that $18 million that you just spent in the offseason sit on the bench. You know what? No matter how bad he's playing, so you just got to save face and say we're not paying you $18 million to sit on the bench. Either step it, we're gonna have to cut you and absorb a little bit of that cost, but get rid of some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not a good situation there. I mean, I was calling for his retirement 2 years ago. I thought the 11-0 last year was completely fake. Not completely fake, but 90% fake. And it showed the last 5 weeks of the season last year when they completely tanked it. I mean, they're one-dimensional at best, and not even really one-dimensional because Ben can't push the ball down the field. He can't stay upright. He can't stay healthy. Doesn't have the shoulder. Doesn't have the arm that he used to. And with TJ Watt out, it's like, I mean, week to week, it's just you just don't even know what you're going to get with them. I see them as a 4th place team as soon as Cincinnati gets their act together.
Wow. Any concerns for Tomlin? This would be his first losing season, or we know how loyal the Steelers are to their head coaches. I think he's literally 3 coaches in 60 years. Do you think there's anything with him? He's been there a long time. Maybe you want to switch it up, or keep that loyalty tradition going.
Tomlin could go 4 what would it be 13 this year, 4-13, and he would still have a job in Pittsburgh next year. So I have no fear for Tomlin getting fired. If they go 4-14, they're going to draft him a quarterback that he's going to mold, and he'll get back to winning pretty soon.
I'm right. Exactly the same boat as Kevin. I think I believe in him. I was a harsh critic of him when they had the Killer Bees together, just because of how he let and ran his he ran that team and ran that locker room, a little too loosey-goosey. I think they underachieved many of those years when they went up against Brady. I think they could have won a couple more championships, but I believe in the guy. I've really come around on him, and I think as soon as he gets the quarterback situation right, I think they could be back to contending with the top of that division.
I hear you. And last but not least, is there anything to read into the 1-3 Patriots? Did play competitive against the Bucks. We talked about Mac Jones, mixed reviews, but still Bill Belichick coaching. And do we think there's any moment of concern with that 1-3 start?
Well,
Alex, you want to go first? All right.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say it's going to be 2-3 in about 5 days because they're playing the Texans. I mean, I'm looking at the rest of their schedule, and they got some big heavy hitters. They got Carolina, they got Cleveland, they got the Chargers, but it's weird. I mean, I had them at 10-7. I probably overvalued them. A quarter into the season at this point, but it's a long season to go. I think the division is a lot tougher than it's ever been, and I mean we all know that. And I think that Mac Jones can still have the most success of any of the rookie quarterbacks for the rest of the remainder of the season. I really believe that. I think that they have the best infrastructure underneath him and the best defensive talent around him of the other rookie quarterbacks besides San Francisco. San Francisco is kind of an anomaly situation. It's not very often you get a high quarterback draft pick after going to the Super Bowl. So I think that New England, even if they do have a down year and they go 7-9 again, I think they're still building positive inertia to being contending for the next few years moving forward too.
Definitely, man. You like I said, though we're talking about this, there's still 3 months of the season to go. And if there's any team, especially that could change it around, you have Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time, with this special challenge he has. He can turn it around once and for all. Any other final thoughts on disappointing teams that we haven't covered yet?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
Yeah. It's an early season.
Speaking of early season, though, might as well put this on the record. Why don't you guys tell me who you think are your early season MVP picks? Make you look like a genius in 4 months now to see if they come to form, or make you look dumb. But it's nice to always put your predictions out there. like for me, and we always talked about with Kyler Murray, just showing what the benefit you can have with being a very mobile quarterback. When you have a DeAndre Hopkins going ham, AJ Green looks like he's the old AJ Green at some points. I mean, Kyler Murray's really making his team look really, really good out there, and that's saying something. That's who I'm going to pick for an early season MVP. Kevin, who do you think?
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
I'll say, listen, he's
Alex
not playing at the level, that Kyler is and some of these other guys are, but he's playing on the team to beat, and it's a combination of numbers and your team winning. So I think he's going to keep putting up the numbers that he's putting up, which are phenomenal as they are, and his team's going to be the team to beat in the AFC. So I think he's definitely a solid pick for MVP.
Yeah, and he's making Austin Eckler look like a Christian McCaffrey type. What do you say, Alex?
Yeah, I gotta begrudgingly add him to the list. I kind of undervalued Stafford and Kyler up to this point of the season, so I'm definitely going to put them in contention, added to the list. But I'm still going to stick with Josh Allen as my front runner. I think they've just been unbeatable through 4 weeks. I think Pittsburgh kind of just caught them off guard. That's kind of a throwaway game. And yeah, I'm going to roll with Josh Allen, but I'm going to add Stafford and Kyler. Right at his heels.
All right. And don't forget, another person to consider is Daniel Jones. Just kidding. But someday. And okay, so pretty solid picks. It could pan out, and we'll definitely pay attention to those specific players. So just to wrap up things, there's just 2 quick topics to go through. First, I want to talk about a team that is doing well now who will come to form and probably collapse anyways. And then we'll do the opposite for the next team. What's a team that started off slow, but will pick it up towards the end of the season? So first, team doing well now that is going to come to form. Who do you guys think is going to win this award? Alex, we'll start with you.
Just to clarify, you're talking about a team that's doing well now that's going to divulge over the course of the season.
Exactly,
yes. Only my favorite, the Cowboys, man.
You still think that the Cowboys are not going to hold it down, huh? Why you say that?
Well, just the injuries, the COVID protocols, week in and week out, you're not sure what you're going to get with them. Now, granted, I'm the first to admit that they show a lot of promise so far early in the year, taking the ball away. The offense looks like it's humming with Zeke and Pollard and the balance of that attack. But I'm just not sold. I think they're going to find a way to blow it. They always do. So, that's my team. And then the team I see ascending that I think will figure it out through the course of the season is San Fran. I mean, I had them third in the division, but I still had them at, I think, 10 wins. And I think that they'll figure it out through the season, whether they have Trey Lance or Garoppolo.
How about that? Okay, I can see where you're going, and excellent points, Alex. Now, Kevin, how would you answer this question? What team is going to divulge and what team's going to rise up?
I have 1 team to divulge and 2 that I think are going to end up rising up, but I think the Baltimore Ravens. I still, I'm not that impressed with the 3-1 start, specifically because they can't throw the ball. They can't. They haven't been able to throw the ball, but I mean, they're running. What is it? I think it's like 12 consecutive games with 100 yards rushing as a team now. If someone can, they just set the NFL record. They pissed off the Denver Broncos because they got the ball back with 3 seconds left and went ahead and ran it anyway for the record. But if anyone can stop that rushing attack, they're done. And I don't think they can play from behind because if they're behind, they're not going to be able to throw the ball, and they don't throw the ball well enough to come from behind. So I don't like them, going later into the season. I still think, maybe a 10 win team, if that, but I see them falling off. And then 2 teams that I think are really going to kind of pick it up. First of all, the Washington football team. Already talked about this, and I think either Fitzpatrick's going to come back and they're gonna get a little better that way, or I still think there's a chance they look for outside help at quarterback if Heineke can't get it done, because they do have a winning roster in a very bad division.
Yep.
And then now this one's going to surprise a lot of people. The Houston Texans.
Please tell us more on that.
I think if they get Tyrod back, they looked good week 1 with Tyrod, under the helm. Davis Mills, clearly isn't the guy, but they're another team. If they go to outside help, Nick Foles, Jacoby Brissett, once Tua comes back, reach out and bring someone else in, or their starter comes back, they're a team that can surprise a lot of people and win some games.
I totally hear you there. I think, again, excellent points from you, Kevin. But the only thing I asked, do you feel like the Texans could be a playoff team the way they're looking, or like that much of a shock, or just more than at least go over their over under? For
I had the Texans, I'm pretty sure, like 1-15. So yeah, I think they might win like 6 games, 7 games.
Hey, that is an improvement.
He's saying they go from a turd to a turd with sprinkles. Come on now.
Hey, that still counts, and you will get a lot of shocking heads. Stranger things have happened. I think the way I would answer that,
Oh yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say, I definitely double down on Washington though. I'm not giving up on them. I think if they can figure out the quarterback situation, I've been kind of looking into Fitzpatrick's injury. It looks week to week. He's going to be out probably the remainder of the first half of the season, but I still think they can make a push. And like I said, Heineke's a solid backup if he gets more reps in.
Definitely, dude. Definitely. And I would say my team that I think is going to divulge and collapse, though their defense is pretty stellar, especially their secondary. I just don't think the Denver Broncos have an offensive prowess to continue to do well in the AFC West, especially if you have a hungry Chiefs team that needs wins again. I think they'll just be a casualty. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is the guy, even though he has shown shades of his old self and what potentially possibly could have had. I just don't think the Broncos offensive, specifically in that Pat Shimmer-led offensive team, I don't think they can, hold to fold. But they do have a lot of great potential, especially once Jerry Jeudy comes back, and, who knows what the draft brings. I just think the Broncos aren't a team to exactly look forward. That's for you, Kaz. And the team that I think is going to turn it around specifically, well, I honestly think the Chiefs, even at 2-2, I would not be surprised if they go like 14-2 after this run, specifically, or it would be 13-2 after that. But anyways, I still think that they're going to go on a great run. And if Mahomes is as good as we expect him to be, special players, generational players like that get wins. Tyreek Hill will step up again. Travis Kelce will be Travis Kelce, and I think the Chiefs will be back to form. And it will show how good he is or not.
Go ahead, Kev.
I will say it here and now. They will not beat the Los Angeles Chargers. It won't happen.
Really?
That defense is too stellar. Mm-hmm. And the offense, that offense will absolutely shred their defense. I don't see it happening. I think Los Angeles, I was coming into this today. Los Angeles, the Chargers are the team to beat in the AFC.
Yeah, they definitely looked like it as well. And, excellent points there. I just feel that, again, if the Chiefs are supposed to be this form and they get out of the slump, they will somehow get these wins. But again, no one did expect the Chargers to go this ham. And it's just a matter of time. They're going to play each other. They're not going to play each other again until December 16th, so week 14. But
the thing with the Chiefs is I think they just need to update their style of play. I think they need to evolve to, unfortunately, winning in shootouts more than they'd like to, especially with some of these high-powered offenses in the AFC. I think at a certain point they need to have a watershed moment with Spagnuolo's defense and understand, okay, we need to be a bend, not break defense. Mm-hmm. We need to slow down and play situationally smart, Super Bowl winning defense, in the fourth quarter when it comes time. and we need to be able to lock down with our secondary and our front four. But they're going to have to really evolve that offense and maybe play a more spread offense game and really air it out more. The only issue with that is you're probably going to see a continuous uptick in turnovers that we've had through the first 4 weeks with Pat Mahomes. So I think that they will definitely improve and get better as the season goes on. But I think it's going to be the style of play with which they play at is going to be the reason.
Yeah. I totally hear you, man. And, excellent points as always, guys. I guess just a few things just we haven't highlight that I've just loved to hear. How we feel about the Packers. Aaron Rodgers in his controversy season and people watching it with a magnifying glass. After looking so dreadful against the Saints in week 1, he responds with a 3-game winning streak. Is there anything to that? That's his team to still watch out for in this whole division. Or am I bugging simply? What do you think about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers?
I think that first game was a kind of a statement. Not to say that he threw the game, but I think Aaron Rodgers kind of said, well, when I play bad, this team does not win. So make me happy.
You really think so?
Did you see the man was smiling after throwing 2 interceptions and down 38? That's not an Aaron Rodgers look. I think he really kind of said, when I don't feel like playing well and when I don't play well, this team doesn't play well. So either make me happy or I'm gone. You guys can go, 1-15 next year. So
when David doesn't get what he wants, he gets to throw games.
No, listen. I don't think it's right, but I think that's what happened. I think it was a statement, but I think this team is a team to look out for. I said it coming into the year, and I had them in my Super Bowl prediction, so I still have them there, and I think Rodgers is going to be an MVP candidate.
See, I think they're going to clean house. I mean, I think they're going to clean up by virtue of a bad division this year. But I definitely have diminished my expectations of them. I had them back in the NFC Championship game, just with the scheduling breaks that they were going to get, looking at the schedule. But I see them getting into the playoffs, winning their division with 11 wins at this point. I don't think they're the same team that I expected before the season began. So
that's just why we love football, because it's always unpredictable. Well,
sure.
Hit everything we wanted to today. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Kevin. We'll see you guys at the end of the month. We'll keep paying attention. Or I should say, last but not least, is there any matchups this week specifically that you're looking forward to with week 5? Personally, I'm excited for the Bills and Chiefs to see if my prediction is going to be up to fold, because that would be a statement game if they can pull it off. So that's what I'm looking forward the most. Anything for week 5 to look forward to from you guys?
The New York Jets will be 2-3 going into the bye week.
Ooh.
And I don't think anyone on earth could have predicted that. So, I mean, Atlanta has truly the worst defense in the NFL, and Zach Wilson just showed that he can play well. So, I can see them really beating up on this defeated Atlanta team. So, it could be 2-3 going into the bye, which is a weird idea, second in the division.
Don't forget that game's at 9 a.m. At London this Sunday.
Yes. Yep, those rootin' toots are going to be watching one shitty game. I like the Browns-Chargers game at 4 o'clock. I think that's going to be a high-powered offense on both sides. It's going to be interesting to see how these two quarterbacks go at each other.
Yeah, that's another one. And the Browns looking pretty intimidating, and Myles Garrett already making strives to be Defensive Player of the Year. So that's going to be a good time indeed. Well, any other final words from you two before we sign off?
No, I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you, guys. I will see you when I get back from vacation. Be good.
Yes. Alex, you have a great trip. Stay safe out there.
Yes, sir.
Kevin, you be the man as always. Don't forget to also check out Kevin. You got a new Instagram, right?
I just started an Instagram for my content, so people aren't going on my private page. and I don't get, 30 requests a day on my private page. So
Yes.
Kev will drink it on Instagram. Also, everyone watch out this month. I'm going to be doing a giveaway sponsored by Little Better. Either going to pay up to $300 on a bar tab or possibly fly you out for a weekend with Kev will drink it. So we'll be having a giveaway this month. So stay tuned.
All right. Again, check it out on the description page for that Instagram as well. And don't forget to check out our friend Alex, whether it's the Going Places Artist Collective, which is at Going-Places Artist Collective, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And don't forget to check out his great work otherwise. So thank you, gentlemen. As always, it's a blast. Like I said, we'll see you at the end of the month. And hopefully our teams are doing much better and our predictions stay amazing. But hats off to you guys. Have a great night.
You too, Matt.
Boys, cheers.
Kevin Schaffer, Alex Ranniello, thanks again. Peace.